Hello. Today I'm going to dive into the intricacies of differential time frame analysis. And we're going to start by using TradingView. Now I've got the basic TradingView chart here with BTC loaded. But we're going to change this a lot. Right now I got 45 minutes highlighted. Differential time frame analysis isn't just about changing the time frame of the indicators. It's about changing the time frame of the chart itself. So, bring up your chart table, go all the way to the bottom, and you'll see this. I'm going to go to a 7-minute chart with 7-minute candlesticks. And lo and behold, here it is. You are now looking at a 7-minute chart. Take a good look at that. Each candlestick is rendered to be 7 minutes long. Here is the time left before this candlestick is finished and it moves to the next one. This is just the beginning of differential time frame analysis. Now, for the coin that I'm going to choose, I'm going to go straight to XMR with the base currency of USDT on the Binance exchange. Here we are, 7 minutes. The XMR chart at 7 minutes. You can see it's quite a bit different than, say, the 5 or 15. This is step 1, but we're not done yet. Next, we take advantage of TradingView's multi-chart. So, we're going to go to this layout. We now have 3 charts at once. So, as you can see, quite a bit difference. So now when you click on a chart and you highlight it, the time frame applies to that chart. If you click on a different chart, right now everything's identical. So let's start with, let's change this to BTC. I don't want Bittrex though. I want Binance. Let's change this one to ETH. Again, picking Binance. Now, you can use any time frame you want for these charts. However, what I find works well is to make sure that they are not divisible of each other. So you don't want time frames that can overlap each other, like 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour. That is subject to stop loss harvesting. I prefer to keep my time frames on prime numbers, Fibonacci's, cubed numbers, logarithmics. Any number will work as long as they're not evenly divisible. So now, as you can see here, a lot of this is just going to be visual assistance, so you can actually see the different charts. This is going to be our main chart. So up here at the, let's set this one to, I'm going to say 59 minutes. So now this chart is at 59 minutes. Excuse me, this chart is at 59 minutes. Actually want this chart, so we got to do it over. But because it's already in the list, we're good to go. So this chart's at 59 minutes. Let's put this chart at 61 minutes. Now these are just going to be visual references. So this one's at 61 minutes. This one's at 59 minutes. I'm going to put this one back to 7 minutes. Now, the one thing that I want to work with is I want each of these different time frames not to be equally divisible amongst themselves. But this is the time frame that I'm actually going to set up these signals on. So, for this chart, let's load just a generic Bollinger's. Nothing fancy, just a simple Bollinger's here. We're not even going to make any changes right away. Just turn on the chart and turn off the signal line. There we go. Straight Bollinger's at 59 minutes. For this chart, you can use Bollinger's again if you want, but I'm looking to be a little different. So I'm going to use RSI on this chart, just to break it up a little. And in all honesty, I don't even know if this is going to turn out to be something they can trade. This is just a demonstration to show you what you can do for the purposes of actually finding something. If this actually does trade, it'll be a surprise. Okay, so here we are. So we have an RSI at 61 minutes, a Bollinger at 59 minutes. Now we're going to repeat the steps down here in our main chart. So you click on it, it lighted up in blue. Now, since this is our active chart, we need both Bollinger and RSI. Okay, so let's first we do Bollinger, and then while that's loading, we go back and we find RSI. Here we go. Now, you don't need these charts, but these charts do show you what each of the unusual candlesticks actually look like. And that can be important when you're working down here in what I will refer to as your signal chart. So let's turn on the chart. Let's turn off the signal line. Come down here. Let's turn off the signal line. Let's turn on the chart. Now, here we have it. So now, we actually take this particular one, Bollinger, at 59 minutes. So we come here to Bollinger. We come down. Our ticker symbol is Binance, BTC, USDT. Our time frame is 59 minutes. So what we are doing is we're now going to make this Bollinger Band on our alerts chart actually show what this one is on our demonstration chart. We want confirmation bias. So now, 59 minutes compared to 7 minutes. And now we're going to come down here, RSI, 61 minutes. Confirmation bias for now. Binance. Put it in the right box for 61 minutes. Again, we're not making any other changes. And it'd help if I spell it right. So now, let's get this up here. RSI at 61 minutes as displayed on a 7-minute chart. Bollinger at 59 minutes as displayed on a 7-minute chart. Now let's take RSI, turn on indicator, and we are going to choose the Bollinger signal line. And here you are. Literally the 7-minute chart with Bollinger and RSI on 2 different time frames. Now you can change your time frame here. Let's pick a 5-minute chart, see if it makes a difference. Bollinger and RSI are still going to be locked to the time frames that we've physically set in the settings. So even if you want to go to a standard 1-hour chart, these 2 algorithms are going to be offsets of that. And that's important. Simple, sweet, and to the point. And of course, when we do, for example, here, it's not easy to see, but we do have a sell alert. So we have a sell alert on the 1-hour mark. If we go back to the 7-minute mark, let's see if we can find a buy and a sell alert for that. We'll zoom it in a little, Actually, let me clear this from the tablet. There. Let's zoom it in a little and see if we can find a buy and a sell alert. This is what differential time frame analysis offers. The ability to literally offset your time frames completely and in such a way that you cause the software to recalculate and re-examine the candlesticks in an unusual factor. 59-minute candlestick, a 61-minute candlestick forced into a 7-minute candlestick. Now this example, of course, is just that. Well, you can go to a 1 hour. And you see various okay, here is a sell signal. Let's zoom this one in. Now, you will need to spend a little more time tuning, of course, than this haphazard approach. But here we have a sell signal that matches both the 59, 61 within the confirmation of the 7-minute. Remember, I'm using confirmation bias on this. So we have 59-minute compared to 7-minute, or in this case 1 hour actually. So 59-minute compared to 1 hour, 61-minute compared to 1 hour. And when all three show the signal, we have a sell. Let's go to something a bit more obscure. Let's try 67 minutes. Now let's take and let's force this chart to 67 minutes and see if anything shows up. The more you can offset the chart, meaning the more indivisible it is into an even number, the less likely you will be stop harvested. Now that's not to say you can't be stop harvested, because as long as you use a stop loss, you can be. But you can make sure that it is more difficult by not being on standard time frames. So by taking the time to offset all of your charts in such a way and tuning them, if you have to use a stop loss, you can better your chances by not following the equal time frames. When you look at this time frame, think of this. 5 minutes is a 1, 15 is a 3, 6, 12, 24. Get the pattern? All it takes is one harvester to take out all of the standard time frames working in a sequenced interval. For somebody working on a 67-minute time frame, well, that's what the main chart is. But if they've done this to the main chart, imagine how much more complex it's going to be if the actual indicators are on different charts or different time frames. Now, your confirmation indicator can be on the same time frame as your main or even divisible by your main. That doesn't matter. All that matters is that each of the main indicators are not divisible within any part of themselves. That means you can't divide this one into this one or this one into this one and get a simple whole number. And you can't divide either of them into your chart time frame to get a simple whole number. You're looking at what's called fractions of time. And that's a way to force a differentiated time frame analysis that goes beyond just multiple time frame. Multiple time frames are just the standard divisible time frames. For example, if you used a 5-minute, a 10-minute, and then you ran this on a 1 hour, that would just be multiple time frames because they're all divisible easily and simply an easy solution to solve them all. But by using prime numbers or other indivisible numbers, you are able to make sure that your charts are harder to harvest. Here's another signal. Let's see if we can find, here's a buy signal. So, we buy here, we sell here. Not necessarily a good buy for this case, but it still proves the point. And that's the thing that you want to be aware of when you're working with this kind of a system. So now let's go back to a single chart. The one you want to keep should be highlighted. And let's see if TradingView works right. And it doesn't. Okay, so let's see if it remembered it. Okay, it does remember it. So it's important. So that's an important feature for it to remember. But now let's make it our primary. I don't know, that just zooms in there. Okay. There's a way to do it. Their trading specifications don't exactly tell you how, but there is a way to do it. And you can actually pick all of these different kinds of charts. No, it won't. So the easiest way is probably going to be just save it. Let's highlight this one. Let's save. Make a copy. And we'll simply have this as XRP, BTC, ETH, MULTI. That chart is saved. And it saved the layout. Okay, that is something that's not in the specifications. So that's good to know. It will actually save your windows. So, okay, well, we learn something every day. And as usual, TradingView specifications are never right. So here you have it. multiple trading factors available. And this one actually has quite a few signals for buying and selling. So as you're working, be sure you check these out if you're interested in really getting a handle on this kind of a situation. Now, the one thing I do want to mention is that a lot of this is premium. I do not recommend upgrading your account unless you really plan on taking advantage of these features extensively. And that means really mastering them. And that may not be something that it would be in your best interest if you're simply looking to get a basic understanding. The windowed feature is available at all subscriptions. The number of windows is limited on your subscription level. The non-standard time frames does require additional subscriptions, but they're not necessary. As I just showed you, having a 1 hour time frame is fine because your indicator is still at 59 minutes and 61 minutes. It still offsets. So even though your chart alerts may be at 1 hour, your actual analysis is not at 1 hour, and that will help you offset the harvesters. This will take you time to learn. Ideally, as I said, the best way not to be harvested is don't use stop losses. Use the fail-safe blueprint as much as you can. Now, there are circumstances that mean you have to use a stop loss. When you do, this is how you beat the system and how you actually make an effort to keep from being harvested easily. This is not a foolproof process, but it does help. It does take time. It does take mastery. It does give you a different perspective. For example, just in, let's come over here. Just in a simple chart layout. You can see clearly the differences the candlesticks make. Even the slightest changes have a profound impact on the mathematics. 1 minute may not seem like much, but when you have a 59-minute candlestick trading on a 60-minute candlestick, you have 1 minute unaccounted for. Now, one or two things are going to happen. First, this is going to get scaled, and that's going to muddy up the math. Or second, the extra minute on this chart is going to end up being pushed onto the next candlestick. And TradingView is going to complain about pulling future data. So either way, you've muddied the math. You've made the system recalculate the actual candlestick you're using. A 59-minute candlestick versus a 60-minute candlestick. Let's just close these charts for a few minutes, just so you can take a look at just how different this data looks and how different one single minute makes. Look at this huge spike right here, this huge drop right here. 1 minute's difference is all it takes for this. We'll double check it. Even when realigning, same thing. You see the correlations, huge spikes. Look at this huge drop here versus here. Here you have a huge spike. Here you don't. So that one single minute has a profound difference. Now let's go back to 3 charts, except let's look at it this way. Let's close off this one. Let's resynchronize this chart. Resynchronize this one. Resynchronize this one. All 3 of these charts show a different picture. I don't want Bitrix though. Now we saw the correlation between 3 different coins with dominance. Let's see how that correlation works with the same coin and see if we can spot the differences. Let's zoom in. Let's see if we can get these lined up to be about the same size. There we go. In all 3 charts, only 1 minute apart with each one, and yet look at the differences. And this is, in each case, the same exact coin. Now let's go back to instead of 1 hour, let's go back to a 67-minute chart. Notice how it lines up. You wouldn't think that just a few minutes could make a difference, but it does. And that's the important part of differential time frame analysis. Just a tiny bit of a change off the normal time frames can give you a huge advantage, particularly when you're using multiple indicators and each indicator has its own time frame. That is the difference between multi-time frame and differential time frame. You're not just trading on different time frames, you're trading between different time frames, including a non-standard chart. That is where you actually gain control of the market through some very interesting, unique, and complex pattern analysis. So what may look obvious really isn't when you actually begin to look at the charts themselves. This does take time to practice, and it does give you a wealth of information when you're looking at it. Don't be afraid to explore all of your options, because this opens up a new level of trading, and it gives you the potential to really see beyond standard market data. For example, I worked with the 7-minute chart on this one. So on a 7-minute chart, let's zoom this in and let's bring up a very basic RSI. Actually, no, we did RSI. Let's bring up ATR, something a little more complex. Okay. Show the chart. Turn off the signal line. Now we have an ATR based upon, and it's a 7-minute candlestick. There we go. So think about that. Take just a few minutes and wrap your mind around a 7-minute candlestick. It purchased roughly right here and sold roughly right here. Now this is without any tuning, of course. Okay, so let's go back to our chart and let's take, still at 59 minutes, let's load a moving average. Zooming in. Show the chart. There we go. So 59 minutes, 7 minutes. I can already see quite a few areas lining up. So down here on a 61-minute chart, let's load ATR. And let's load MACD. Okay, so 59 and 7. So ATR is 7. So let's zoom this in. Let's come up here to ATR. Go here. Show chart. Turn off the signal line. And now I'm going to keep this simple. All I'm going to do here is just change the time. So this ATR uses a 7-minute chart. That's it, nothing else. Now we have MACD. Let's zoom out. MACD was what? MACD was 59 minutes. Okay, so let's come back in here. Let's zoom this up. Let's come back in here into the settings. Okay, time frame 59. Show the chart. Turn off the signal line. And now, let's feed MACD into ATR. This will be the most graphic because ATR is showing the most signals. So let's come here. MACD signal line. And yes. And let's see what lines up. Okay, not very much because, of course, the signals are a bit out of sync. So let's tune that a little. Let's drag this out of the way. And let's turn this off so we can see the signals. Okay, it looks like this one is leading this one a little bit. But at the same time, this one is also leading here. So this one's leading, so here on ATR, we'll keep the signal. Let's go for 5 candlesticks each. Okay. Let's turn this back on. And let's see where it lines up. Still not enough of a lead. So let's move it to the highest that I'd like to go. Now you can tune this extensively. I'm just picking numbers that usually work well for demonstration purposes. Okay, here we have a buy signal. Not bad. So it shows a buy signal and it lines up with MACD. Let's see if we can find where the last sell signal was. And here you have quite a few sell signals up here. And this actually looks very nice. So let's take a look at this chart. We're trading at 61 minutes using a 7-minute candlestick and a 59-minute candlestick. And yet, we are producing these results. Not bad at all. Let's zoom in on this one. Nice and simple. Let's zoom in on this one. And finally, the actual combination on the chart we want. The chart that's going to actually send the alerts. And for these purposes, our signaler is going to be ATR running at 61 minutes. So now you can visualize unusual candlesticks, you can see unusual time frames, and you can begin to build the possibilities of something that can produce even more unique combinations. So let's come in and do this one. Let's make a slight change. We have this at 7 minutes. What if we change it to 11 minutes? An 11-minute candlestick. How is that going to change the chart? Quite a bit, actually. It moved the sell signal from here all the way up to here. And we got a better profit. So don't be afraid to play around with these numbers, because you never know just what you might discover. And that really is the whole point of this kind of a theoretical trading paradigm. You just never know what you might discover by thinking out of the box. Differential time frame analysis allows a very unique paradigm. Take advantage of it. Use it. Learn it. Master it. Doing so will take your trading to the next level. Even with the fail-safe blueprint, this can still give you some very nice opportunities. So don't pass it up and don't think that you don't need it or that it's too complicated. It's not about figuring out the math. The math is easy. You just have to have a fraction at the end of your results. You can use any number you want as long as they can't be divided equally into themselves. Don't get caught up in the nuances because they're not that important. The important part is to remember that your final numbers can't be divisible within each other. Take your time, practice it. Learn TradingView's little tips and tricks. Most importantly, if you've got the equipment, take advantage of multiple windows because they are very important. And even if the specifications do throw curves once in a while, in this case they can be good curves. Until next time.